Hi friends, in this session I shall speak to Michelle from the consultancy company Markt Twigs. Markt Twigs is a global creative consulting firm with a specific jeanswear focus and more than 20 years of experience in the apparel industry. Michelle is in a long-term love affair with denim. She loves and breathes all things denim with experience ranging from the mill arena, technology, brand retail in highly respected organizations around the world. I first met her in when she was doing a very special campaign for Genealogia, and it was really wonderful meeting her. So, hi Michelle, how are you?
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm fine, Michelle. How the things? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, all things considered.
So we are living in this digital world, and as we were discussing the other day, the message part is so important, and you specifically are very strong in creating messages, and this becomes specifically important in this digital times when everything has to be done virtually. So why do you think what is really the importance of creating the right message by different companies in this time?
Well, I think that we all know that when times are difficult, it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to focus mostly on cutting back and lowering prices and things of that nature. But really, if you want to increase your business and increase your image, messaging, the right messaging goes a long way to reaching that goal. So I think that in the future, since we can't be together to touch the product or to explain in person what the message is that we're trying to convey, imaging becomes so much more important.
You had made a wonderful presentation. It would be great to see that. Can you just show that presentation? And it has so many elements of this messaging and the digital importance of presentation today. The messaging session today.
Sure, I'd love to. Hang on one second. Let's see here. There we go. So this presentation is all about messaging and why message matters so much. I mean, when you think about all of the components that it takes to have a good message for your brand or your mill or actually yourself, this shutdown has given us all time to breathe and think about who we really want to be and what we really want to represent. And I think that's the starting place for a good message. So we'll take you through very briefly, and I'm going to try and go quickly because there's a lot of pictures here, but we're talking about image and we're talking about message, so pictures are important.
Absolutely.
So I've made some buzzwords just to make this entire thing a little bit more cohesive. We need to, when creating a message, it's important to contemplate what you want to say, who you want to be, create images that support that, and then curate those images into a compelling experience that will help you compete. So it's not all dollars and cents.
It's all C's.
Yes, it's all C's, exactly. So the first one is contemplate. Make an honest assessment of your company values. And once you get that, that's really the framework by which you filter every single message that you want to make. And like this, you have an authentic voice. Then you create product or recreate product and content that respects that truth. And then you curate it so that you don't have 20 messages all over the place. It focuses and makes an impact on what you're trying to say. And then you compete.
And when you say messages, it also includes the stories that you're creating for your products?
Yes. So the bigger message, really the important ones, are the ones that talk about what you value. That's the first thing. And then all of the products that you develop, just as a matter of course, in this new world, I think, is going to have to kind of slide into those values. And then, of course, once you have the product that fits those values, then your message supports that product. So everything kind of connects, and the more you do it, the more it becomes kind of second nature, and it's what gives your company a voice. I mean, there are mills. Let's take Candiani, and this is going a little off message, but they know who they are. They know what their message is, and every product they make and every image that they send out supports that. And that's the kind of thing that keeps you strong.
Absolutely. It reinforces your message again and again.
Right. And consistency is key, obviously. So you want to make sure you stand out from the crowd. And, you know, in this new way of doing business, everybody's going to be focusing on visuals. So it's important for every company to think about how they want to present themselves to the world. Otherwise, they're going to vanish away like this lovely jean here on the right.
Okay.
So the first part is imagery. And, you know, because we're living in a digital world mostly, hopefully we'll be able to touch things again. But we want to make sure that the images we use are high resolution, that they support all of the things that we've just been talking about, but that you can see up close and personal what the product is or what your message is. From the mill space, I mean, just because you're a mill doesn't mean you can't create beautiful imagery. Even a roll of fabric up close and personal can be lovely.
Yeah, even from the rolls, you can create beautiful images.
Exactly. Even the machinery in the stores. I mean, in the factories. Product details, focusing on product details. Whatever your message is, even full garments, it's important to make sure that you can see them in good resolution. Even if you're taking the pictures yourself, you don't have to hire fancy photographers and even models. You can take them in the factory yourselves if they're well thought out and compelling.
Absolutely.
A yarn of thread, indigo thread. This is a beautiful image. And It's just a yarn of thread.
It's only a thread, yeah.
Exactly. This image was, so again, tying things into the message you're trying to get across. This was for Global Denim in Mexico. They were building a new factory, and we put the garments into the factory. The tagline was built from the ground up. So we put the garments into the ground authentically while they were building the factory, and it was their real truth at that time. And that's super important, to make sure that everything that you do rings true to the value that you're trying to get across. Even a dye range.
Like the dye range, which is normally so dirty, you know.
Exactly. You can make it. Well, that was a brand new dye range because it was a new factory, but yes. But even a dye vat, I mean, images can be gorgeous without being fancy, and denim is not necessarily fancy.
Absolutely.
The important thing is to make sure that it connects the dots, that you are getting across what you want to say in a beautiful way. So if the message is craftsmanship, if you're a laundry or if you're a factory, you can show your craftsmanship by taking very beautiful, detailed photographs. Attention to detail. If your message is that you are proud of the country that you're producing from, say it's an emerging market and you want to break into a more established market, you can show pride of origin. Here, we created a room, I think this was at Kingpins in LA, for Arvind in India. And we even brought in a small shuttle loom from India to give the feeling of what this company and its products were. We even had Kadi video kind of playing on the ceiling of the room.
It looks beautiful.
It was fun to do. This is China. This is Guangzhou, and we use a great photographer called Jasper, and he he has this style of superimposing things. So we took the photo shoot from the model and the photo shoot from the city and combined them, and it speaks to good product coming out of that area of China. This message happens to be from our friends at Lenzing, and the objective was that Tencel and Refibra and Tencel products are viable for workwear. It's not a woman's product, it's a men's product, it's a denim product. And I think this was an effective image.
Very nice images. Yeah.
This was for Navina. They had a product that was called Horizon, I think. Don't quote me on that. But it was a product that saved water. So they did a photo shoot in Turkey, and we used it for the ads that they did for the Horizon product. And this is effective. It says water when you look at it. And this is nature. I mean, you know, facts and figures are important, especially when we're trying to battle the whole greenwashing idea. But infographics are and icons have become, you know, an image speaks to 1,000 words. But a beautiful picture that speaks about the industry, it speaks about fashion, and it also speaks about nature, alongside infographics and facts and figures, create a very strong message.
Agreed.
So this slide is about circularity. So we have this beautiful Refibra image on the right, but on the left, it's just circles on the floor of a factory. It also says circularity.
Yes,
so
very emphatic. Yeah, very nice image.
Yes, and it was literally just taken on the floor of the factory. You can use ingenuity to create things. And this I have there just because it's gorgeous. Also, you know, transparency is a hot topic at the moment, as well it should be. But you can also use transparency in the images that you're talking about transparency. So the point here is to make sure that your image lines up with your message at every single stage of the process to be effective.
True.
And then the next message is sustainable fabric, denim product can also be beautiful and elegant.
So, I mean, you know, those misconceptions of sustainability, we may not be giving, you know, the right aesthetics probably needs to be challenged by different kind of images, right messages.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so then once you have your concept, and then you have your message, the next thing to do is to create an experience. And these were all done pre-pandemic, so we can think about it also in terms of virtual, but the important thing is to create an overall experience. Like when you go into a store, a retail store in Tokyo, for example, sometimes those stores are more impressive than the products that they sell because you have that experience. So this is a way to use your imagery to create an experience for whoever your target is. This was in Munich, I believe, and this was for Genealogia, and this was Truth and Light. We created 4-meter high rooms that held product inside. And people remember. You know, they say that people forget what you say to them, but they never forget how you make them feel. Yes. And it's the same with presenting product.
Experiences count, you know, experiences when you, imagery is a strong experience.
Right. That last one was, sorry, I was listening to you and I hit the button, but that last one was to address femininity in denim. And by contrast, this next slide and the slide that follows is speaking to men's stretch. So with this, we had stretch product that was very masculine in feel, you can see, and we created mini skateboard ramps to make that point. And so, I mean, we built a little bookcase for the collection books made out of skate decks. And it was very effective in remembering that you can have stretch product for men and still be masculine. This is Truth and Light again. This was, I think, in Paris. Yeah, we took it all over the place. And you're right, that the Hong Kong one is the one where we met Sandeep.
Yeah, this was the one. I remember the ball also.
Yes.
This was the one. It was a beautiful ball, and that Truth and Line campaign was quite successful, which you created.
Yeah, well, it's had quite the impact on the way the market views laser production.
Absolutely.
Or ozone production. This one was for G2 when it first came out, and we had moss-covered mooses and pigs and lots of things to kind of highlight the fact that the atmosphere was what was the important thing here. And you got to couple it with the product and the presentation and all of the details, because the details matter.
Absolutely, it's all in the details.
It's all in the details. This was for dynamic, and the dynamic machines are continuous production of either ozone or laser on a continuous roll of fabric. So there's certain things that you can't do. Like there's this chair, if you could see this chair was covered in one long piece of fabric that was done on the dynamic machine in all different patterns.
Okay.
Or this skirt could not be done unless you were able to do an entire roll.
Oh, okay.
So making the product match up with the presentation is also super important. And there we were highlighting a machine, not a collection. And then the thing is to contemplate what you're going to do, who you want to be, create product and content that support that, curate it to make a compelling environment, and then compete. And you just got to take the leap.
Perfect.
So there you have it.
Yes, it does matter. This is a wonderful presentation, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. Now, I am stopping the share, and we can continue. Work, look at that.
I'm back. So I think really it was actually a wonderful presentation, showing a lot of work on messages you've been working on so many years, not only in this pandemic, of course, but this is a continuation of those years of experience what you have in this arena. So tell me, what is what
digitally? That's all.
now we have to do everything digitally, and we have to find the best solutions which give out the best results in digital world.
Yeah.
So what I mean, we are though a lot of things were explained during the presentation also, but what do you think is at the heart of the right message?
So at the heart of the right message are two things. The first thing is to have a really intense conversation with yourself, if you're a company, and say, who are we? What do we want to stand for? What do we believe in? And then once you answer those questions, creating an image and message that supports that. And then once you do that, you can run every single thing you do, whether it's a product launch or whether it's your stand on a social issue. If you run it through that filter of who am I, you'll always have an authentic message.
Absolutely. And the images are so important, and there are so many different ways of creating the images. So what are the various things the company should be careful about when they are creating these images?
Well, I think, again, truth, always the truth, but making sure that your image reflects what you are trying to say. I see even ads that people are creating ads and paying for media space and they're selling one thing and the image is completely unrelated. And so I think connecting the dots is super, super important. That and using high res images, of course. High res, high quality.
Yeah, iris is definitely so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, when you are creating the images, there's always a good photo, a good let's say presenter, an artist, photographer can create a very good image out of a particular product, and he can actually raise the level of the product much higher than what it actually is. So, do you think there's also a kind of a optimum level at which the digital presentation should be there, which does not raise the expectations from the product very high?
Well, okay, so I hear what you're saying, and I agree, but it's like making a sample and having your sample be beautiful and then not being able to continue that in production. It's an age-old problem, right? But in terms of imagery, I think if the image is of your product, and if you are first being true to yourself, I keep going back to truth because that's the key to all of this. If the image is your product and you do a close-up on that product, that is what your product looks like. So you can make it beautiful, but keep it real.
Yeah, it should not become unrealistic with a lot of editing or something. You kind of give it so much of you change the product. You should not change the product. You should just try to keep it original,
Exactly.
but beautiful.
Exactly.
And how
And it's not
we
really exclusive.
yeah. And you showed so many stories. You have been creating so many stories for maybe for so many years. I believe 15 years, 20 years, for different products or different companies. So how do you really create a good story in a presentation?
Well, I go back to, and I think I've said this a few times because it's so important, that everything needs to be connected to what the message is that you want to say. If you follow those simple rules, those C's that I had on there, it's kind of hard to go wrong. You have to make it compelling. You have to contemplate what it is that you want to say, curate it so that you don't have 20 different messages all over the place, and make it compelling. I mean, it's really that simple.
Any particular examples which really impressed you in your career with this kind of stories?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot, and it's at every kind of level of the market. Of course, if you're talking about fiber, I have a soft spot for lensing, but they do a good job in speaking to who they are, which is focused on sustainability for real, no greenwashing. This is actually what they believe. Then we mentioned Candiani. There's no question about who they are, what they're trying to do. So and even let's take a laundry like Cytex. They don't do a lot of messaging and a lot of ads and imagery and all of that, but that one image of the garments
Going
drying
on, yeah,
on
yeah.
the whatever you call that
Belt
thing,
on the belt, yeah, yeah. That is
that
really
is
strong.
powerful. It's powerful, and it speaks to who they really are.
Mm.
If you have a brand or a retailer, Everlane creates classic, good product that is concerned with not only the environment, but social responsibility. That's all they say, that's all they do. And so you're seeing a recurring message here that people that are doing it well are the ones that are speaking to their truth.
So, I mean, let's say if a company has, of course, there's a one consistent message about their, let's say, philosophy and principles, and one message is related to their current range of products or some new launches. So, do you think they should be always give a connection between these two?
Yes, they don't have to beat you over the head with it, but if you have a strong set of values and your beliefs, then every product you develop should be developed into that belief system. And then every image that you create, probably that product will be in it. So that also feeds into that belief system. So it's all tied together. And after you do it for a while, you don't have to say too much about what your beliefs are. It's evident in what you do.
Absolutely.
This is
And
my two.
no, of course you're right. So in the current times when suddenly we had to go digital, everyone had to go digital, and a lot of companies, whether it is the mills or the factories or the brands, they are struggling with digital technologies for the messaging. I mean, what is your suggestion to them to do these things better?
Well, I think depending on who their audience is and what they're trying to say, I think it's important to focus on the images, because even in, like, now we're seeing lots of digital fashion shows where they're not even using humans. Those start with super good quality, high resolution images. That's important. I mean, even if you hire and outsource a company that is a digital genius that are creating these experiences virtually, you have to give them the ammunition to do it well. And it starts with very, very good high quality images.
So I like that word, the ammunition. So the good images are ammunition for the companies today, uh, with which they have to fight and compete in the market today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it all leads to sales. I know nobody believes that, but it does. It all leads to sales.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the salesman tools today. I mean, you cannot travel, you cannot go to buyers, sit down with them. Uh,
Exactly.
Everything has to be done digitally.
Exactly.
So I thank you, Michelle, for first of all, a wonderful presentation and a wonderful sharing of thoughts, and very relevant thoughts on how the companies can improve their performance in the current market when they have to compete with each other, and there is only the digital ways of communication and competing. So the message system becomes so important,
Yes,
and
it does.
and with your vast experience, you have shared you have, and you've shared that. I thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. It's
Thank you,
fun.
Mish.
I love denim. I could talk about it all day.
And your studio looks very nice. The jeans on your back looks wonderful. Very distressed and very old jeans.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that one's my favorite. That's why it's always up for inspiration.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.